Welcome back to the Veterans Network Radio Show. My name is Shelley Harrison, and I'm your host today, and we hope you're having a wonderful day. I am co-director for the National Veterans Chamber of Commerce, and I also have my own company, Luminary Leader, so I'm so proud to be here. Our Veterans Radio Show, we bring heroes that are doing wonderful things in the community. And today we have two amazing guests that I can't wait to share with you. Take a look at any successful business, organization, or institution, and you'll find a veteran or military spouse in that leadership role behind that success. We want to welcome all of our listeners, followers. We are on all different platforms, YouTube Live. We are on LinkedIn, Facebook, and many other platforms. So we hope you're joining us. Today is National Snack Day and also Employee Appreciation Day around the U.S. So we want to give a shout out to all those employees out there who are doing wonderful work. Today, we have our sponsors, and I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Sabio. They are at Sabio, they pride themselves in helping others develop their technical careers. Their diverse team of instructors and software engineers are dedicated to your success and will go above and beyond to help you achieve your goals. Whether you're just starting coding or you want to learn some new skills, Sabio is the place for you. And we want to give a warm shout out to our sponsor and their founder, Liliana. So thank you, Sabio, for your sponsorship. I want to bring on my first guest, and we were talking in the green room, and I can't wait for you to meet him. So Andre Rivera, he is actually the founder of the Veterans Resource Network, and he is also a veteran. He served in the Marines for 12 years. So I want to bring on Andre. Hello, Andre. How are you?
How's it going? How you doing, Shelley?
Doing pretty good. And you're coming to us from Florida. And I know you said it's nice and sunny there. Yeah, South Florida. So welcome to the show. And we have a nice set of questions that we're going to ask you, and a little bit, to do with your organization that you're doing for our veterans. But I would love for you to start out, Andre, to tell us about yourself and your military experience.
Okay, so I served from 1994 to 2006. I was a JTAC, a Joint Tactical Air Controller, a Naval Gunfire Spotter, and a artillery scout. So our unit, basically, we called in airstrikes. We were a reconnaissance element. We support foreign forces and special operation units in Iraq at the time, in 2003, 2004. I returned home and I worked in the field of biometrics and forensics for 10 years.
My goodness. Well, first of all, we want to thank you for your service, and we absolutely salute you. We know it's not easy, but think of all the wonderful experiences and memories that you have. And we're going to kind of get into what you're doing now. Fast forward. And I know you mentioned you're a realtor in Florida. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that? And then we're going to find out about your organization.
Well, yes, right now I'm a realtor. I switched gears, like I said, for almost 20 years. I served the Department of Defense, and afterwards I switched gears and I attained my master's in business, and I looked at a lot of different paths to different businesses, and I found that real estate was something that attracted me. I didn't think it was something I'd love in the beginning, but ultimately I love it. It's if you look at it as like a little military, I look at it as like a little military operation. I'm trying to get this family from point A, get through all the phase lines on time, efficiently, and when you look at it, it's very similar to what I did at DOD at a higher level, but at a smaller scale. You still have to do all the analysis in advance. So I go above and beyond, I think, than most folks would do. But that's where the military training kicks in, the attention to detail, the work ethic, et cetera. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And, as far as the organization that you have, which is Veterans Resource Network, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, number one, what inspired you to start this?
Well, wow. What inspired me was, in a nutshell, the suicide crisis, the anxiety, depression. When we talk about that, we talk about, what are solutions for veterans? And I'm going to touch this really lightly, and we can get deeper a little bit later, because I wasn't expecting that question right off the bat.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay. That's okay. I'm prepared. I'm expeditionary. I'm a Marine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically the inspiration was, I saw that there's a shortfall. We're spending unprecedented dollars to fight suicide, but yet all the numbers show that suicide is actually on the increase, on the rise, even though there's unprecedented dollars and funding to support it, and everyone supports it, but solutions are not there. And I believe that the solutions, and I know because I lived this journey, that the solutions that are out there have to get that veteran back to what he had when he served his country, which is having stability, having routine, and having a purpose. A lot of us, when they transition from the military into the civilian sector, they lose one, two, or all three of those things. And then it's very hard to cope and get through that. So I figured, I go, what's a solution? And I tried it, I looked into many different things, and I found that, the solution is business. If you can get a veteran with a professional development and a business, well, then you're going to mitigate that anxiety, the depression, and suicide. You're giving that veteran, again, you're giving him, routine, you're giving him stability, and you're giving him purpose. So that was the inspiration for this. Real quick, briefly, the Veterans Resource Network is just my 50-meter target. What I really wanted to do, and what I briefed at Syracuse University in 2018, was a far grander scale. It was a brick and mortar facility where veterans can go, very similar to like an MWR downrange, where we have, Xboxes linked in, and we have jujitsu, and we have all of that minus the alcohol, except for perhaps social events, but a focus on business, on being productive. I wanted a place where veterans can go and have mentors to help them and guide them. Like, hey, you don't know what you want to do with the future for the rest of your life after active duty. Well, perhaps, we have over 50 veteran-owned businesses here. They can mentor you, they can guide you, they can put you in the right direction and get you where you need to go. So that was the inspiration. But since it's so hard to get a brick and mortar facility, and I'm still working towards it, I'm not giving up. But my first phase is this, because I figured this is a solution that's attainable and sustainable. An online vendor list is basically what we are now.
Yeah, I saw that. I did a little bit of research, and you have just an array of different companies that are on there.
Absolutely. And that's the key. We have everything from loan officers, we have realtors, we have inspectors, plumbers, electricians, we have musicians, we have voiceover actors. So we have just about everything, and we're growing. Yeah. And the difference between us is, because a lot of folks will say, we'll try to compare us to like an Angie's List. I said, well, somewhat. But the difference between an Angie's List and the White Pages is that these folks don't know each other. With VeteranNet, Veterans Resource Network, we actually know each other. We meet monthly. We have a podcast where we interview veteran-owned businesses. And again, and our purpose, and I'll talk to you about our purpose, is we want to be a business incubator. We have over 50 veterans right now that are, premier folks in their industry, and they are great mentors for these young veterans that are leaving the military, not sure what they want to do with the rest of their life. Well, they can talk to any of these guys, and they can help them. So we want to be a business incubator at some point in the future. We're working on that.
Yeah. And really, if you think about it, you could be an incubator just doing, online, where it's nice to have that brick and mortar location, but this could be done worldwide, with a lot of veterans that are looking to get into business. And I think, back to your point of, having purpose. And I think, we love bringing resources like yours, to this platform, because we want our veterans to know that there are solutions and, programs that are out there that can absolutely help them, whether it's a discounted cost or, just services that are provided at no cost. So thank you for the work that you're doing there. And what I'd like to, just kind of, and you already gave us a brief overview, so that was one of my questions. Tell me, Andre, what challenges do you face in the organization, and how have you conquered them, and how can it help other people?
Well, as a realtor, as you know, and especially in this hot market, I've been extremely busy, and this has all been just done by me up to this point. We were not a nonprofit. We were just an organization. We're just veteran businesses that I call us a coalition before now. And we just came together and said, hey, let's just work together. Let's help each other. Let's meet every month. Let's have podcasts. And because our network is underutilized and underexploited, the veteran network is so powerful. We have such a diverse group. I mean, if you ever saw the TV show, The A-Team, and each one was a specialist, they were all Army Special Forces guys. I feel like that's our VeteranNet. We have all of that. And I have so many case studies, and I don't know if we have enough time, but I have so many case studies of veterans that were having a hard time. Okay, I'll give you one. So we had a Marine that last year he got into a very bad accident where he was out of work for a year. He might not have lived. It was really bad. He had 3 kids. And this year he went back to work. He's a home inspector, but he couldn't find, it was hard getting back into this, especially with this housing market. Well, being a realtor, that also makes me a natural sales funnel, because I see opportunities for inspectors and loan officers and health insurance, home insurance, et cetera. So I put him in touch with a very, with a veteran inspector who's been doing it for 20 years. And this veteran was able to get him some business, get him working, and just helping him and guiding him and putting him under his, getting him under his wing to help him out. And I have so many examples like that where veterans were just, not sure what to do, but there's not an organization out there that can help someone like that. Like, well, what organization will take someone and put them under their wing and then guide them in business like that? There really is not anything out there like that. But veterans have an affinity for other veterans and an empathy. So and of course we're relatable to each other. So
yeah. And now you do this across the country, right, Andre? With the organization, are you able to?
No, right now we just started in South Florida.
Okay.
But we're a scalable solution. That's always been my intent, because again, I don't want to just help veterans in South Florida. I mean, I love all my veterans. Most of the veterans I served with are all over the country, not just in South Florida. But I want to start again small. Again, I want to start small online. One day I would love to have like an American Legion, but more tailored and customized for the modern warfighter, who's more about health conscious, who's more about staying fit, staying healthy, and being productive in business, and being productive in general. Today's veterans really want that. We don't want to just sit around a bar and drink alcohol all day. I mean, some of us do, but we know, right? But we know, and there's nothing wrong with it in moderation. There's nothing wrong with that in moderation. But I wanted to have something that's a focus on being productive, and at the same time having that camaraderie. But most importantly, there's no stigma. A lot of these programs that the VA has, there's a big stigma of seeking help, especially for post-trauma and depression. But with this, we don't have that. We have, all these business owners that are productive, that are successful, and then you're just going there to try to improve your life. Well, there's no stigma with that, but that's going to mitigate anxiety. That's going to mitigate depression, and it's going to mitigate suicide inevitably.
Absolutely. And it's the resources, they're very, professional, they're directed towards business. And I think, having that focus is wonderful for our veterans. And how can our veterans reach out to you, or companies that want to do business with our veterans?
Just contact us. Right now, our website is in its infancy stages, but we have. That's one of the reasons why it's not called the Veterans Business Network, because we don't want to be limiting to business. We want to be a resource. I want to have nonprofits there. I want to have job postings there, folks that are offering jobs, and veterans to put jobs that they're seeking. Both, So I want it to be more than just a vendor list of veterans. That's where we're starting, because those are the folks that are successful right now. Those are the veterans that are successful that can lend a hand to the younger veterans that are coming in and transitioning to the civilian sector. But eventually, I want that to be a place where veterans can go and be like, get some training, get some mentorship, learn what's out there, learn about other nonprofits, because there's tons of great nonprofits out there.
There really are.
One place to find them all. I had to find like the nonprofits that I found that were very helpful to me. Like, I had to find them through word of mouth, through just speaking through other veterans. So I wanted a spot where we can have all of that in one place.
Well, we applaud you for the work that you're doing, and having, a real estate business on top of it. So wonderful to have you, Andre. And how can our Veterans Chamber support you?
Just continue doing what you're doing. You have so many resources for us. You also have a business incubator resource.
Yeah.
Yes, we would like to have something very similar, but more organic to our organizations down here, and that's what we're working on. You asked like some of the challenges. Well, the challenges were I'm just one person, but we just submitted our 501c3. We're expecting it within 30 to 45 days, and that's going to be a big help. Yes, thank you, because then we can start hiring people, and maybe we can grow exponentially. Because right now we're growing, but it's a challenge because it's all dependent upon me. And I'm already busy because this market is crazy. So I'm doing my best that I can. But sometimes I feel like I'm failing because it's just overwhelming.
No, keep it up. You've got high energy, and I know that you want to get out there and support the veterans. And 100%. Again, we really appreciate you being here, Andre. And as far as one last tip, we're going to actually be going to our next guest here in just a moment. Sure. What's one last tip that you'd like to leave with our audience?
One last tip for veterans out there, our network, and I mentioned it earlier, our network is underutilized and underexploited. Don't ever feel like you're alone. Always reach out, because you'll be surprised. I mean, every time I go to networking events all the time, and I meet up with as many veterans as I can. If you go to my social media, you'll see that I'm involved. I sit on 3 boards for
you.
for nonprofits. Semper Fi Service Dogs, Vets on Board, which is a rehabilitation for veterans on the water, and the Marine Corps League. I'm the junior vice commandant of the Marine Corps League, and a bunch of other veteran organizations too. But I stay very involved with all the veterans, and you'll be surprised. You sit down, and I know a lot of us are like worried to be around a lot of people. But remember, it's our own people. These are our people. So go out there. Don't be afraid to ask. I've learned to just jabber about the Veterans Resource Network everywhere I go. And I'll just sit there and I'll talk to 10 people. 9 people don't care. But there's that one person. And I'm using that as an example. So that's my tip. Whatever it is, if you're looking for work, if you're looking for anything, go reach out to your veteran network. Look into those private groups and talk to veterans, because veterans love helping other brothers.
They do. And we love supporting our veterans too here at the Veterans Chamber and also the radio network. So again, Andre, thank you so much. And I know we're going to stay in contact because we've got some things that we could do to collaborate. So we want you to stay in the green room and we'll be back. Right now, thank you again, Andre. We are going to go ahead and welcome our next guest. And before I bring her on, I would like just to say that, I'm very excited because I had reached out to our next guest on LinkedIn, and with all the followers she has and her role that she has with the company that she works with, she replied. And I really appreciate that because sometimes, there's so many things going on out there. And in this case, my next guest, Tammy Irwin, was so obliged to support and be on the show today. So I want to say a little bit about our next guest. Tammy Irwin is the Executive Vice President and CEO of Verizon Business. Yes, Verizon. And I'm happy because I've been a Verizon customer for probably over 25 years, our family. Tammy Irwin, like I mentioned, she's the Executive Vice President and CEO of Verizon Business, a global leader in 5G technology, serving 97% of Fortune 500 companies. She is widely recognized for her strategic impact, marketing and operations focus, technical savvy, and passion for people, excuse me. As CEO of Verizon Business, a $30 billion plus business with over 26,000 employees, that would be among the Fortune 100. It was a separate entity. She and her team help businesses, governments, and communities reimagine their employee supply chain and end customer experience. As the shift to digital accelerates, Verizon Business is paving the way into a new 5G era of technology-led disruption and innovation. Throughout her career, Tammy has earned a reputation for building a world-class culture of customer centricity and business performance. And I want to say I learned that she is also an accomplished pianist. There we go. Hi, Tammy. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. And Shelley, thank you for the very warm welcome. And thank you for trusting Verizon with your business for many, many years. I am so happy to be here to talk about veterans and what we're doing. We owe an incredible debt of gratitude to those who serve and continue to serve and their families. And it's something that, as the Verizon sponsor for the ERG around military, we call it Valor. I have the honor of working with this group and sponsoring the work they do. And every day I'm inspired by what they do. So thank you for the opportunity to participate in this discussion today.
Oh, absolutely. And, and we appreciate just the advocacy that you're doing for our veterans and your role as, being within the top leadership of Verizon. First of all, it's Women's History Month, and we want to applaud you for all the work that you're doing and how you're juggling all of these wonderful things and projects that you're doing. But I would love to find out, Tammy, just to get started, what led you to do the work that you're doing today with Verizon?
Yeah, so I've got a long career with Verizon. I started many, many years ago as a customer service rep. And I thought, I'll do this job for a couple of years. And when I grow up, I'll figure out what I want to do. Fast forward, and I've had a chance to do many roles at Verizon. But what continues to draw me to the work that we do holistically at Verizon is we have a purpose. We create the networks that move the world forward. And those networks are not just physical networks, but networks of people. And I do what I do because I love people, whether that's employees, whether it's customers, whether it's employee resource groups that really focus on women in the workforce, veterans in the workforce. How do we really come together and have a strong environment where people believe they belong. It's not just about representation, but it is about belonging. And so for me, that's a personal passion of being able to create an environment where people can really bring their best self to work. And yes, then at the end of the day, it's about delivering results and it's about driving incredible innovation. And we're doing that at Verizon as we build the 21st century of infrastructure, as we think about mobility, broadband, and cloud. But it really is about how do we serve customers? How do we serve shareholders? How do we serve employees? And then broadly, how do we serve society at large? And I think for me, that's the big unlock from a Verizon standpoint, is really serving all four of those stakeholders and recognizing we have a huge obligation and opportunity to transform the way we all live, work, and play. And that's a pretty exciting place to be.
Yes, that is. And I understand, I believe you're just in Barcelona if you're not still there.
Yes, no, I'm back, but yes, I was just there. Yeah.
So, and you were actually, and I have my notes here, you were actually at the Mobile World Congress. And tell us about that experience, because there were a lot of, heads of different corporations. And, of course, you were there. Tell us about that experience and what was it like for you?
Yeah, so you're good at all of your research. Yes, I was at Mobile World Congress, and yes, I play the piano, and yes, it makes me a very fast typist.
And we have something in common, too. We both have the middle name Ann.
There you go. Well, you are very good at doing your research. But listen, what I would tell you is Mobile World Congress was an exciting place to be. It's always a fun place to be, Shelley, as we think about bringing together innovation and technology and really all of the things that are driving change and how we think about technology and applying technology against some of the opportunities and challenges in the world. This year, it was particularly exciting for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was exciting because it's been a long time since we've all been in person together. And so being able to come back together, even though we wore masks and that was part of the requirement for being there in person, the fact is you were able to get together with people who are part of this technology platform of unlocking technology platforms to drive applications and solutions. And that's an exciting place to be. So it was a hub of innovation. You could just feel the energy and momentum, but you really fed off of the fact that this is coming back together after we've all been separated for a very long period of time. And one of the things that we're finding is that businesses and, quite frankly, employees and people at large found the last 2 years we reacted and we responded and we innovated out of necessity and survival. Now people, and certainly businesses and technology partners, are being very intentional about reimagining what will work look like. What will businesses look like? How do you change customer outcomes? And doing that in a way that you can come back and reimagine with a technology platform like Verizon is building is an exciting place to be. So it was a great event. I'm going to use some sleep tonight this weekend because you always get a little bit, impacted by time zone. But it was a great event to be there.
Yeah. Oh, we're so happy to hear that. And I know that you did great work there too while you were there. And, when you think of 5G, I think a lot of us understand what that is, but can you kind of just explain what does 5G represent and what is that about?
Yeah, let me put it in its very simplest forms. And I'm going to kind of distinguish between 3G to 4G and 4G to 5G. If you think about it's a generational technology platform upgrade. So you move from 4G, which has allowed great data connectivity of everything in our lives. So you think about the way you use your phone and having access to data anywhere, anytime. 5G really gives you not only access to faster data, but faster throughput and speeds, but it really creates an infrastructure for innovation for businesses, because 5G unlocks not only fast speeds, but low latency capability, sensor densification, the expectation of lower power consumption. So it's a radical shift in technology that is unlocking the ability for us to partner with people like, the hyperscalers, the cloud providers, and really then drive a different kind of outcome that I think is going to change things like, how do we think about education? How do we think about things like healthcare? How do we think about providing resources, globally for mental health support? So all the things that, one of the big societal challenges that the world is dealing with, it creates a sandbox of innovation. And that's the thing I'm super excited about. And it was evidenced at Mobile World Congress. It creates the opportunity to do private networks and edge compute capability and things that allow different kind of outcomes. So for me, it's a technology upgrade that's going to transform everything. And it's the reason why we talk about it as the fourth industrial revolution, or the 21st century infrastructure, on which it will transform different outcomes for very different purposes.
Yes, my gosh. That sounds like it's just extraordinary. The schedule that you have, the places that you're traveling to now, getting back in the swing of, being in person. As a woman, you're in this leadership role, and we definitely applaud you, because, it's exciting to know that, that there are women who are executive vice presidents of companies. And, there has to be a component in there of self-care and, just being able to, the mental part of all of the things that you do and the schedule that you hold. What are some of those things, Tammy, that you, in your role, that you do for self-care and just kind of trying to keep a balance for yourself?
Yeah, that's a big question, and certainly one I think we're all struggling with as we look at how do we achieve some kind of self-care. And I think about it as put your own oxygen mask on first, so you have the capacity to give back to others. I think as women, we're incredibly lucky to be able to be daughters and sisters and wives and have great careers at the same time. And yet how you find some amount of capacity to give back to yourself is really important. And I do think when you think about self-care, for me, it is I need exercise, because if I don't move, I find that I don't have the balance between my physical body and my brain, and that balance and that ability to really nourish both is important. So exercise is really important. Spending time with family is important for me. I have actually worked on a very simple practice of learning to be intentional about my breathing. I have a sign in my office that says, just breathe. And I know that sounds very, very simple, but when you think about how often we breathe in a day, being intentional about taking a deep breath and allowing it to kind of nourish your body and your brain at the same time, really, really important. But I'm also working to recognize that there is no such thing as balance. It is about finding harmony in your day. How do you be clear with what you say yes to and what you say no to? And I'm trying to practice being good at both. Where do I say yes and where do I say no? And part of the reason I said yes to being part of this conversation is it aligns with my passions. It aligns with things that I feel strongly about. How do we really show up on behalf of veterans? So I'm trying to practice not only good self-care, but good choices about what I say yes to and what I say no to.
Yeah, well, and I know that, like, for example, when I did a little bit of research, with Verizon, so I understand that you are actually leading where there are 10,000 veterans, active reservists, and military families, and you are kind of spearheading this. Tell us about the program that you have with Verizon.
Yeah, so I am really proud of the work that Verizon does around employee resource groups. So it's bringing together employees, whether it's WAVE, which is Women at Verizon, or it's our Valor, which is Veterans at Verizon. It's a global effort. So we recognize that people have served in many different capacities, primarily in the U.S., but I have employees that live in 50 countries around the world. So the service they provide for the freedoms that we enjoy. One of the things that we've done a lot of focus on right now is really making sure we're hiring veterans. Veterans are they're our best V-teamers. They understand the power of teamwork. They understand the power of mission. They understand, and they've got a life experience that allows them to really lean in. And so that's been a big part of our effort is how do we not only support veterans when they come back into the work environment and they onboard back into kind of public life, very, very different than being part of a mission. So how do we help them be part of our mission and feel like they belong? That's the one that I feel kind of most excited about. We are recognized as a top employer for veterans, and it's about supporting veterans and their families. So with nearly 10,000 employees that are veterans, it's an area where we focus on being intentional about showing up on behalf of the hiring we're doing. Or we've also done some really good work with veterans, the VA, around equipping their site locations, some of their hospital locations, with innovation and technology, so that we can really think about innovating on behalf of and using our technology to solve different kind of outcomes. And then, it's about finding an affinity and creating a place where veterans can come together. Our Valor, which is our ERG group for veterans, the newsletter just came out today, and it always highlights great work that's being done by veterans. And, I would just tell you that as you think about how do we show up on behalf of veterans who are being called back up for active duty, how do we demonstrate we care for them, we care for their families, and do that in a way that shows kindness and shows compassion. So many ways that we're showing up on behalf of, discounts for veterans. So get your service discount, but be part of the V team.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate the fact that Verizon is hiring so many veterans and supporting with the different programs that you have. And I know we're coming to the end of the show, Tammy, and I know you have some pretty amazing things on your calendar for the rest of the day. But we absolutely appreciate you being here, and, happy Women's History Month. We're so appreciative that you came on the show today. What is that last thing that you'd like to a little nugget that you'd like to give to our veterans before we end the show?
Yeah, my last thought has to be a big thank you to you and your family. We enjoy incredible freedoms as Americans because of your sacrifice and your commitment. And remember, there's a great place at Verizon for people that are transitioning back into the work environment. We'd love to talk to you about being part of the V team.
Oh, that's a wonderful closing. We appreciate that, Tammy. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yes,
appreciate
and
it.
good luck to you and to Verizon. And we want to thank all of our listeners and those folks that are watching us live. Go back and watch the beginning of the show. You're going to get just some great information. We want to thank you for being here, and have a wonderful day.